Hi, my name is Aoife Finn. I'm from Gort, County Galway. I have just finished my higher diploma in computing at AIT.
Eva, tell us, why did you choose the HDip? What were you doing before that?
I studied business in AIT for 3 years, and I always selected the IT modules when I was studying business, and I took up an interest in it. So I decided then when I heard about this course to give it a try.
Having had a business and I suppose a computing background, did you find then that this was particularly challenging, or was it building on information you already had?
It was definitely very challenging. I had come across some of the modules before, but the majority of them not. But I was just a step up.
Okay, and what differentiated the HDip from the BBuzz? Was it the nature of the projects, the modules themselves, working with companies? What made this one different?
I just felt like that it was a crossover with my business, so it would complement the two subjects together.
Okay, and what were the things that you found most challenging or most enjoyable from the HDip? What were those experiences?
The most challenging would have been something that I would have not been familiar with before, like the programming and basically starting from scratch. But at the end of the day, I really did enjoy it because I felt like I learned a lot from the end of the year.
Tell us a little bit about the experiences that you had on the course itself in terms of some of the projects you would have undertaken.
So most of my projects were group-based, which I wouldn't have experienced much of when I did business. One particular project I did was a research project where I had to compare a programming language that I was learning within my course, Java, and I had to compare it with another programming language that I hadn't seen before. So it was a lot of research and learning, and it developed my skills more. I felt that because I had the foundations learned from the course I was studying in, that it was very easy for me and accessible to go learn other programming languages once I had the basics that I had learned within college.
Okay. In terms of the assessment itself, I understand there was kind of quite a lot of continuous assessment would have been part of the way these modules were set up. Did you find that suited this new form of learning better rather than the end of semester exams, or how did you react to that?
Yes, it was my first year that I ever had that continuous assessment. It was always end year exams previous to that. But I found that you were constantly learning and you were building on top of that. So at the end of the year, you felt like you were way more advanced and you knew a lot more rather than just sitting one exam on specific topics. Mm-hmm. You were constantly learning for different exams.
And was there much of a linkage then across the various modules themselves? Did they kind of come together so that they supported one another?
Yeah, towards the end of the year, that became very visible. Maybe at the start of the year it wasn't because it was all new, but at the end of the year it was very evident how they all linked together.
In terms then of kind of key skills or knowledge sets that you would have obtained from the HDip, which ones do you think are most likely to stand you in good stead through your career?
Because of my previous past of studying business, and I think when I studied business I could see a company from a specification, a theory side, but now because I have IT, I can see it from a development side, so I can see it from both sides.
Okay, and in terms of going out into the workplace, okay, you've finished your HDip now at this stage, what kind of jobs are you looking for?
Yet again, because of my background, it would be a communication between the business and development side, because I can see from both specifications. I can be the person in the middle, so I'm not limiting myself to one area.
Okay, great. Finally then, I suppose, is this a programme that you think you'd recommend to someone, either to other business graduates or to those coming from different backgrounds entirely?
I think anyone from any background can come into it, but from a business background I think it's very beneficial, because you study business for 3 years and then you come into an IT and you have some stepping stones coming in, but you really can see it from both sides.